Table 12, the blonde sniffed, sizing me up like a stray dog, back by the kitchen, near the staff. Right. Like my dress screamed busser, not family. They thought I was some nobody because I didn't wear diamonds the size of gobstoppers. What they didn't know? My husband's signature was on half the deeds in this town, including the country clubs. A pathetic power play, sure, but there's a quiet strength to being underestimated, isn't there? A slow burn. They laughed at my simple dress, settling me among my own kind. Little did they know, kindness is my kind, and it's about to bankrupt theirs. Watch. But before I tell you exactly how this all unfolded, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because you won't want to miss how this story ends. Trust me, the revenge was sweeter than the wedding cake. You know, sometimes the most important lessons come from the most unexpected places. And for me, that place was a wedding where I learned that kindness and respect aren't about what you wear or how much money you have. They're about who you are as a person. Let me take you back to 3 months ago. I was sitting in my kitchen sorting through the mail when I found this beautiful cream-colored envelope with elegant gold lettering. It was a wedding invitation from Kevin, my brother-in-law. I'd been married to his older brother, Michael, for 2 years, but because of Michael's business travels, I'd never actually met Kevin's fiancée, Linda. I was honestly excited. Family weddings are special, and I'd heard so much about Kevin from Michael. He talked about his little brother with such pride, how Kevin had just finished law school and was starting his career at a prestigious firm. The wedding was going to be at the Grandview Country Club, which I'd heard was one of the most exclusive venues in the city. Michael was supposed to fly back from a business trip to Europe the morning of the wedding. His flight would get him there just in time for the ceremony, so I'd be going alone to the reception venue first. He apologized about the timing, but I told him not to worry. I was a big girl, and I could handle meeting the new family members on my own. The morning of the wedding, I stood in front of my closet trying to decide what to wear. Now, you have to understand something about me. I'm not really a fancy dress kind of person. I've always believed that elegance comes from how you carry yourself, not from designer labels. I chose a simple navy blue dress that I'd bought at a department store. It was well-made, flattering, and appropriate for a wedding. I paired it with my grandmother's pearl necklace and simple black heels. Looking in the mirror, I felt good about my choice. The dress was classic and tasteful. I figured it would be perfect for meeting Kevin's new family and celebrating this special day. The drive to the Grandview Country Club took about 30 minutes. As I pulled up to the circular driveway, I have to admit, I was a little intimidated. The building was stunning. All white columns and manicured gardens. Valets in crisp uniforms were taking cars, and I could see guests in elegant attire walking toward the entrance. I handed my keys to the valet and walked toward the main entrance, feeling a little nervous, but excited. Through the glass doors, I could see crystal chandeliers, marble floors, and massive floral arrangements that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. The first person I encountered was a woman in her 50s with perfectly styled blonde hair and a pink dress that screamed expensive. She had a clipboard and was clearly the wedding coordinator. Her name tag read, Patricia. "Excuse me," I said with a smile. "I'm here for the Cooper Bennett wedding. I'm Vanessa, Kevin's sister-in-law." Patricia looked me up and down slowly, and I watched her expression change from professional politeness to something that looked almost like confusion. Her eyes lingered on my dress, then moved to my simple jewelry, then back to my face. "Sister-in-law," she repeated like she was trying to solve a puzzle. "Are you sure you're in the right place? This is a very exclusive event." I felt my cheeks flush, but I kept my smile. "Yes, I'm sure Kevin Cooper is my brother-in-law. My husband Michael is his brother." Patricia flipped through her papers with obvious reluctance. "I don't see a Michael Cooper on the family list," she muttered. "It might be under Michael Bennett," I suggested. "He goes by his middle name for business." After more paper shuffling, she finally found it. "Oh," she said, but her tone suggested she wasn't entirely convinced. "Well, I suppose here's your table number." She handed me a small card with the number 12 on it. "Thank you," I said, though something in her manner made me feel uneasy. Following the signs to the reception area, I walked through beautifully decorated hallways lined with professional photographs of Kevin and Linda. They looked so happy together, and I felt that warm feeling you get when you see people truly in love. The reception hall was breathtaking. Round tables covered in white linens were scattered throughout the room, each decorated with towering centerpieces of white roses and greenery. The main tables were positioned in the center of the room, with a clear view of the head table where the wedding party would sit. I looked down at my card, table 12. Following the numbers, I walked toward the back of the room, passing tables 1, 2, 3. The further I walked, the smaller and simpler the tables became. When I finally reached table 12, I stopped in confusion. It was a small round table for 6, positioned near the kitchen doors. The other people already seated there were clearly venue staff, servers in black and white uniforms who were taking a quick break before the ceremony began. "Excuse me," I said to one of them, a Kindle-looking woman in her 40s. "I think there might be a mistake. I'm supposed to be at table 12. "Oh, honey," she said with a sympathetic smile. "You're in the right place. I'm Maria, and this is where they put us staff members to eat. Are you with the catering company?" "No, I'm actually family," I said, feeling more confused by the minute. "I'm the groom's sister-in-law." Maria's eyebrows shot up. "Family sitting back here? That's unusual." Before I could respond, I heard a voice behind me. "Well, well, what do we have here?" I turned to see a woman in her late 50s wearing a stunning silver dress that probably cost more than my car payment. Her gray hair was perfectly styled and her makeup was flawless. She had the kind of bearing that suggested she was used to being the most important person in any room. "I'm Catherine Bennett," she said, extending her hand like she was granting me an audience. "Linda's mother, and you are Vanessa," I replied, shaking her hand. "I'm Kevin's sister-in-law. It's so nice to finally meet you." Catherine's smile was the kind that doesn't reach your eyes. "Sister-in-law? How interesting. I thought I knew all of Kevin's family." Her gaze traveled over my outfit with the same dismissive look I'd gotten from Patricia. "That's such a quaint dress. Very department store chic." I felt my face burn, but I tried to keep my voice steady. "Thank you. I wanted to wear something appropriate for the occasion." "Oh, it's certainly appropriate," Catherine said with a laugh that sounded like breaking glass. "For some occasions, anyway. I do hope you're comfortable back here with the working people. I thought it might be more suitable for someone of your background." Before I could ask what she meant by that, another woman approached. This one was younger, probably in her 30s, with perfectly styled brown hair and a designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly salary. "Mother, who's this?" she asked, looking at me like I was something she'd found on the bottom of her shoe. "This is Vanessa," Catherine said, her tone suggesting I was some kind of curiosity. "She claims to be Kevin's sister-in-law." "Claims?" the younger woman repeated with a laugh. "I'm Linda's sister, Amanda. I know all of Kevin's family, and I've never seen you before." "Well," I said, trying to keep my voice calm, "I'm married to Kevin's brother, Michael. He's traveling for business, but he'll be here for the ceremony." Catherine and Amanda exchanged a look that I didn't like at all. "Oh, sweetie," Amanda said with fake sympathy. "I think there's been some kind of misunderstanding. All of Kevin's important family members are seated at the main tables. The family tables are reserved for people of a certain social standing." "What she means," Catherine added with that same cold smile, "is that we seat people where they'll be most comfortable. And looking at you, I think you'll find the staff table much more relatable." I felt like I'd been slapped. "I'm sorry, but I don't understand. I'm family. Kevin is my brother-in-law." "Honey," Catherine said, her voice dripping with condescension, "just because someone told you they're related to our family doesn't make it true. How do we even know you were actually invited? This is a very exclusive event. The guest list was carefully curated." "I have my invitation," I said, pulling it from my purse. Amanda barely glanced at it. "Anyone could have gotten one of those. The question is, how did you afford to be here? Do you even know how much it costs to attend an event like this?" I stared at them, speechless. I'd never been treated like this in my life. These women were being deliberately cruel, and I couldn't understand why. "I think," Catherine said with finality, "that you'll be much more comfortable here at the staff table. The view isn't as good, But then again, some people aren't used to the finer things in life. And with that, they walked away, leaving me standing there feeling humiliated and confused. I looked around the room at the other guests, women in designer dresses, men in expensive suits, everyone looking like they'd stepped out of a magazine. I sat down at the staff table trying to process what had just happened. Maria, the server who'd been kind to me earlier, leaned over. "Honey, I've been working weddings for 15 years and I've never seen family treated like that. Those women were being deliberately mean to you." "I don't understand why," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Some people," said another server, an older man named Carlos, "think that money makes them better than everyone else. They judge people by their clothes, their cars, their jewelry. They don't see the person inside." As the ceremony began, I found myself seated behind a pillar, barely able to see Kevin and Linda exchange vows. I watched from the back as families I didn't know sat in the front rows, while my actual family was treated like I didn't belong. But you know what? I held my head high. I wasn't going to let these people see me cry. I wasn't going to give them the satisfaction of knowing they'd hurt me. Instead, I pulled out my phone and sent a text to Michael. "We need to talk when you get here. I'm at the staff table." His response came back immediately. "What? Why are you okay?" "I'll explain when you arrive," I texted back. "But prepare yourself. Your new sister-in-law's family has some very strong opinions about people like me." The ceremony ended, and guests began moving toward the cocktail hour. I remained at my table watching as Catherine and Amanda worked the room like they owned it, air-kissing other guests and making sure everyone knew how important they were. My phone buzzed. "Michael, just landed. Be there in 20 minutes. Stay strong." Those 20 minutes felt like hours. I watched as servers bustled around me, setting up for dinner service. They continued to be kind, including me in their conversations and making sure I felt welcome at their table. It was ironic. The people who were being paid to be there were treating me with more respect than the family I'd married into. Then I saw him. Michael walked into the reception hall, and I swear the entire room seemed to pause. He was wearing a perfectly tailored charcoal gray suit that fit him like it was made for him, which it was. His presence commanded attention in a way that had nothing to do with arrogance and everything to do with quiet confidence. He looked around the room, clearly searching for me. When his eyes found mine at the staff table, I saw his jaw tighten. He knew immediately that something was wrong. As he walked toward me, I noticed other guests beginning to whisper and point. Michael had that effect on people. He looked like someone important, someone you should know. "Vanessa," he said when he reached me, his voice carefully controlled. "Why are you sitting here?" Before I could answer, I heard Catherine's voice behind us. "Well, hello there." She had appeared out of nowhere, her earlier coldness replaced by a completely different demeanor. "I don't believe we've met. I'm Catherine Bennett, the mother of the bride." Michael turned to look at her, and I saw something in his eyes that made me glad I wasn't on the receiving end of his attention. "I'm Michael," he said simply. "Michael, how wonderful to meet you. Are you a friend of law school? You look like you might be in business. What line of work are you in?" "I'm in several lines of work," Michael replied, his tone pleasant but cool. "But more importantly, I'm wondering why my wife is sitting at the staff table." Catherine's face went through a series of expressions: confusion, realization, and then something that looked like panic. "You're your wife?" "Yes," Michael said, placing his hand on my shoulder. "Vanessa is my wife, and she's Kevin's sister-in-law, which makes her family. So I'm very curious about why she's been seated with the venue staff." I watched as Catherine's perfectly applied makeup couldn't hide the fact that all the color had drained from her face. Oh my, there must have been some kind of mistake. "What kind of mistake?" Michael asked, his voice dangerously quiet. By now, other guests were starting to notice the conversation. I could see Amanda pushing through the crowd, probably wondering why her mother looked like she'd seen a ghost. "Michael?" Kevin's voice cut through the tension. "You made it!" He rushed over and embraced his brother warmly. "I was worried your flight would be delayed. Wouldn't miss it for the world," Michael said, returning the hug. "Congratulations, little brother. Linda looks beautiful. Thanks, man. Hey, where's Vanessa? I've been looking forward to Linda's family meeting her." "She's right here," Michael said, gesturing to where I sat at the staff table. Kevin looked confused. The staff table? Why would she be? He looked around at the servers, then back at his brother. There has to be some mistake. That's what I'm trying to figure out, Michael said. Apparently, your new mother-in-law felt that Vanessa would be more comfortable sitting with the working people. I watched Kevin's face change as he processed what his brother had just said. What? Catherine, what is he talking about? Catherine looked like she wanted to disappear. There was just a small misunderstanding about the seating arrangements. A misunderstanding. I finally spoke up, my voice stronger than I felt. You told me I wasn't really family. You said I was seated here because of my background and that I'd be more comfortable with people who were relatable to me. Amanda chose that moment to arrive, pushing through the crowd. Mother, what's going on? Why does everyone look so? She stopped mid-sentence when she saw Michael. Oh, hello. Amanda, Catherine said weakly, this is Michael, Vanessa's husband. I watched Amanda's face go through the same progression of emotions as her mother's had. Husband? But I thought… You thought what? Michael asked, his voice carrying an edge that made me glad I wasn't Amanda. We didn't realize. You both looked so Amanda was struggling to find words that wouldn't make things worse. We look so what? I asked, standing up from my chair. So poor, so common, so unworthy of sitting with the important people. That's not what we meant, Catherine said quickly. You just what? Kevin demanded. He looked angrier than I'd ever seen him. You just decided to humiliate my brother's wife at my wedding. Kevin, please. Linda had appeared beside him, looking beautiful in her wedding dress and completely confused. What's happening? What's happening? Kevin said, his voice tight with anger. Is that your family decided my sister-in-law wasn't good enough to sit with the rest of the family? The crowd around us was growing larger. Other guests were pretending to mingle while clearly listening to every word. I could see phones being discreetly raised. People were recording this. Michael pulled out his phone and made a call. Bill, it's Michael. I need you to look into something for me. He paused, listening. The Grand View Country Club. Yes, that's the one. And Bennett Catering Services. I'll call you back. He hung up and looked at Catherine and Amanda, who were both looking increasingly pale. That was my attorney, he said conversationally. I was just checking on a few business matters. Business matters? Amanda asked nervously. Well, you see, I like to know who I'm doing business with, and it turns out I do quite a bit of business in the city. Catherine's voice was barely above a whisper. What kind of business? Michael smiled, but it wasn't a warm smile. Oh, various things. Real estate, hospitality, food service. For instance, I own this country club. The silence that followed was deafening. I could hear the clink of glasses and quiet conversations from other parts of the room, but our little group had gone completely silent. You own the Grand View? Catherine stammered. I do, along with several other properties in the city. I also own Bennett Catering Services. Interesting that you share the same last name. And I believe your husband works for Morrison and Associates. I own the building they rent their offices in. Amanda made a sound that might have been a whimper. Now, Michael continued, his voice still pleasant, but with an underlying steel. I'm sure you can understand why I'm concerned about the treatment my wife received here today. You see, I have very high standards for how people are treated at my properties. Kevin looked like he wanted to crawl under a rock. Michael, I had no idea they… It's not your fault, Kevin, Michael said, his voice softer when he spoke to his brother. You're not responsible for other people's behavior, but I am responsible for making sure my wife is treated with respect, he continued, his attention returning to Catherine and Amanda. And today she wasn't. Linda was crying now, her perfect makeup running down her cheeks. I'm so sorry, she whispered to me. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know they were going to do this. I looked at her and saw genuine remorse in her eyes. Linda, this isn't your fault. You were busy with your wedding day. You couldn't have known. But they're my family, she said, and they treated you terribly. Yes, Michael said quietly. They did, and there will be consequences for that. Catherine found her voice. What kind of consequences? Well, Michael said, let's start with the country club. I'll be reviewing our membership policies. I think we need to ensure that our members understand our standards regarding the treatment of others. You wouldn't, Amanda breathed. I would and I will. I'll also be reviewing our vendor relationships, Bennett Catering, for instance. I like to work with companies that share my values. Please, Catherine said, we can fix this. We can make this right. Can you? Michael asked. Can you undo the humiliation you put my wife through? Can you take back the cruel words you said to her? Can you give her back the dignity you tried to strip away? We'll apologize, Amanda said desperately. We'll do whatever you want. You'll apologize because you're scared of the consequences, I said, speaking for the first time in several minutes. Not because you're actually sorry for what you did. Michael nodded. My wife is absolutely right. You're not sorry for your behavior. You're sorry you got caught. His phone rang. Excuse me, he said, answering it. Yes, Bill, I see. And the building lease next month. Perfect, thank you. He hung up and looked at Catherine and Amanda. That was my attorney. It seems your husband's firm has been struggling financially. Their lease is up for renewal next month. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. You can't do this, Catherine said, but her voice lacked conviction. I can do whatever I want, Michael replied. It's my business. Just like it was your choice to treat my wife like she was beneath you. Kevin stepped forward. Michael, please. I know they messed up, but Kevin, Michael said gently, I love you. You're my brother, and I would do anything for you. But I will not stand by and watch anyone treat my wife the way they treated her today. What do you want from us? Catherine asked. I want you to understand something. Michael said, my wife is one of the kindest, most genuine people I've ever met. She came here today excited to meet her new family. She chose a simple dress because she's not someone who needs designer labels to feel good about herself. She has more class and dignity in her little finger than both of you have in your entire bodies. He paused, looking around the room at all the guests who were pretending not to listen. You judged her based on her clothes, her jewelry, her car. You decided she wasn't good enough for your family based on superficial things that don't matter. But you know what? She's too good for your family. Michael, I said softly, touching his arm. It's okay. Let's just go. He looked at me and his expression softened. Are you sure? I'm sure. Kevin, congratulations on your wedding, Linda. I hope you'll be very happy together. Kevin hugged me tightly. Vanessa, I'm so sorry this happened. This isn't how I wanted you to meet Linda's family. I know, I said, hugging him back. It's not your fault. Linda stepped forward hesitantly. Vanessa, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so sorry my family treated you this way. Linda, I said, you seem like a lovely person. Don't let this define your marriage to Kevin. He's a good man. As we walked toward the exit, I could hear the whispers following us, but I didn't care. I was leaving with my head held high, my husband's arm around me, and my dignity intact. 3 weeks later, I was sitting in my kitchen reading the local newspaper when I came across an interesting article. The headline read, Grandview Country Club implements new membership standards. The article explained that the club's owner had instituted new policies requiring members to demonstrate character and integrity in their interactions with others. Several longtime members had already had their memberships revoked for conduct unbecoming. I didn't need to read between the lines to know that Catherine and Amanda Bennett were among those former members. My phone rang. It was Linda. Vanessa, she said, her voice nervous. I hope it's okay that I'm calling. Of course it's okay, I said. How are you? How's married life? It's good, she said, but I could hear the strain in her voice. I'm calling because I wanted to apologize again for what happened at the wedding. Linda, you don't need to keep apologizing. You weren't responsible for your family's behavior. But I should have stood up for you, she said. I should have said something when I saw what was happening. You were dealing with your own wedding day, I said. No one expects you to manage your family's behavior. Kevin told me what Michael did, she said quietly, about the country club membership in the catering business. I'm sorry if that's caused problems for your family. No, she said quickly. Don't apologize. They brought this on themselves. My mother and sister, they've always been like this. They judge people based on money and status, and they've never understood that those things don't make you a better person. I'm sorry you're caught in the middle of this. I'm not caught in the middle, Linda said firmly. I'm on your side. What they did was wrong, and I'm glad there were consequences. Maybe now they'll think twice before they treat someone else that way. I hope so. Vanessa, I was wondering, would you and Michael like to have dinner with Kevin and me sometime? I'd love to get to know you better, and I promise it will just be the four of us. I'd like that, I said, and I meant it. After we hung up, I sat thinking about the whole experience. The truth is, I wasn't angry anymore. I felt sorry for Catherine and Amanda. They'd missed out on getting to know me because they were too busy judging me. They damaged their relationship with their son and brother because they couldn't see past their own prejudices. But more than that, I'd learned something important about myself. I'd discovered that I was stronger than I thought. I'd faced their cruelty with dignity, and I'd come out the other side with my integrity intact. That evening, Michael came home from work to find me cooking dinner. "Smells good," he said, kissing my cheek. "How was your day?" "Good," I said. Linda called. "She wants to have dinner with us sometime. Just the four of us." "Just the four of us. I'd like that," he said. "She seems like a good person who got stuck with a difficult family." "Speaking of family," I said, "I saw the article about the country club." "Did you?" he said innocently. "Interesting, Michael. You didn't have to do all that." "Yes, I did," he said, his voice serious. "Nobody treats my wife that way. Nobody." "I love you," I said, turning to face him. "I love you too," he said, pulling me into his arms. "And I'm proud of you for how you handled that situation. You showed more class than all of them combined." "I had a good teacher," I said. "You've always treated everyone with respect, regardless of who they are or what they do for a living." "That's because everyone deserves respect," he said, "until they prove they don't." As we sat down to dinner that night, I thought about the lesson I'd learned. It doesn't matter what you wear, what you drive, or where you live. What matters is how you treat other people. Kindness costs nothing, but cruelty can cost everything. And sometimes the people who think they're the most important are actually the least significant of all. And that's how a simple woman in a simple dress taught an entire wedding party that you should never judge someone by their appearance. If you enjoyed the story of Sweet Revenge, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more incredible true stories. And remember, kindness costs nothing, but rudeness can cost everything. I'll see you in the next.